to talk to you about Jehovah's Witnesses and money. If you are one of Jehovah's Witnesses or an ex-JW, you know how much the Society of Jehovah's Witnesses is discouraging people from pursuing money. They are telling people, young people, not to pursue higher education. And if you happen to be a professional, let's say, if you have a career, they will discourage you from taking more responsibilities so you can make more money and be maybe less available to serve Jehovah. I will never forget, and even though I wasn't far away from who I am today, I was not a life coach, and I was very much still indoctrinated. And I will never forget that sister who was giving her experience in one of our assemblies. And she was so proud, telling hundreds of people listening to her that she had just refused a career opportunity that was going to bring her $80,000 a year. She was so proud, telling us that instead she would be content with half that and serve Jehovah instead. This, even back then, I thought was the most ridiculous thing I had ever heard. I knew that even as one of Jehovah's Witnesses, if I had had the opportunity to accept a job that was giving me $80,000 when I was making like half of that, I would have taken it. And the reason why I would have taken it is because that society, which is so proud in telling people to be broke and miserable because it's going to make them more spiritual, that very society is a billionaire.
You heard her correctly. Billionaires. You know, as I was listening to this piece of audio, I came to the realization that we have this belief that money is the root of all evil. And after listening to that, I realized that it isn't money. Money isn't the root of all evil. Control is. In my estimation, you can't get the money unless you have control. Global wars are fought for control. Local wars, even if you're talking about gang wars, they're fought for control. Relationships are about control. Personal relationships, good or bad, it is about control. The money is secondary. And while you sit on that for a minute, I could be wrong, but while you sit on that, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the JW Free Podcast. My name is James. I am your host. And did you hear the factual information this lady just gave you? Matches everything we've been telling you for the last couple of years. She was so proud to turn down an $80,000 a year job. Happy, thought it was the best thing in the world. And this is why I came up with today's title, The Financial Lunacy of the Rank and File Jehovah's Witnesses. Do as the governing body does, not as they say. So before the governing body can take your money, Jehovah's Witnesses, they first have to get control of your mind. They have to get you conditioned to thinking as they need you to do. Remember, we talked about before, anytime somebody's giving you something or a way to think, it's because they have bad intentions for you. And now that the Jehovah's Witnesses, the governing body has given you that belief system, that control, now it's easy for you to give them your money. The money that you give used to give every week in the contribution fund, the building fund, as church folks like to say, or have you down there working for free. You do that because they have control of your mind. Money isn't making you work for free. Do you get me? All right, let's move on. The reason, non-Jehovah's Witnesses, it is easy for that woman to turn down that $80,000 a year job is because we've been trained, especially those of us who were born in, we've been trained to not attain any type of financial stability. It is looked down upon. It is frowned upon to be able to have a little extra, even take care of yourself. So it's so easy, right? And so they reinforce it not only in their talks, in their manuals and publications, but when they have those role-playing scenarios which is what the lady was explaining to you guys when she turned down that job, it's reinforced there too. So it's being reinforced for close to 20 years, 3 different ways, 4 or 5 times a week. Do you follow me? And then on the flip side of that, for those who are like me, who still had financial gain as an objective, they couldn't, preach that out of me. What happens is, once you leave the hall and you're out there trying to chase whatever your goal is, or whatever my goal was, the results don't come easy, if at all. And the reason is because subconsciously, the program that you are given doesn't support the actions that you're taking. So you're operating on 2 different wavelengths. And imagine how frustrating that is, that you don't know that that's what's happening. You just know that you're not getting the financial results that you're looking for. And you go through that 20 plus years before you realize that's what is happening. And now you have to take another few years to unlearn this poison. That is just some of the frustration that you're seeing on these social media sites and all across the board with regard to the Jehovah's Witness organization. So, it's just something for you guys to think about. Now let's get into the topic. Jehovah's Witnesses, why can't you see what is happening here? Your governing body, and we've touched on this in previous episodes, right? But your governing body has told you not to do the very things that they are doing, at least financially. They are investing, they're flipping their money, they're getting contributions from all over the place, not just you guys. I found out an interesting thing today while I was looking through how they are making their money, and they're not making it easy, but we do have tax returns, and I'll put that stuff in the link in the description below. But I came across a woman by the name of Henrietta M. Riley. She has a trust fund set up specifically for the Jehovah's Witness organization. And she's passed away, but she has X amount of dollars going to this book publishing company every year. And it's not a small amount. I'll put that in the link too for you below. And this allows, now the problem here is that there seems to be, or the Jehovah's Witnesses are claiming that there is no relationship with this woman. And I'm pretty sure they're lying. Nobody's going to leave you money if you don't have some type of, not that kind of money, if you don't have some type of relationship with them. And to me, it just sounds like plausible deniability, because there are some questions as to where they're putting this money. What stocks, what companies are they investing in? Now, don't get me wrong. I don't see any problem with people flipping their money, even the Jehovah's Witnesses. But just don't tell us not to do it. Don't ask us to remain in lack and in poverty. Don't derail our lives while you hypocritically make billions upon billions, with a B, billions of dollars, while your people down here starving, shopping at secondhand stores and don't have to. Why? Because you have control of their minds. So I want to let you guys listen to a brief audio recording from, his name is Lloyd Evans. I'm pretty sure many of you have heard of him. If not, he does really good research into the Jehovah's Witness organization. So good that they're actually trying to sue him for hate speech, which isn't true if you've ever listened to him. But they're actually trying to sue him because his research is so detailed and so spot on. So I'm going to let you hear. He has a list of questions in terms of where that money's going and what they're doing with it. And he goes through each one of them and details what's happening. Here we go.
And going back to my initial list of questions, is Watchtower investing in defense technology? If we're going to be honest, the answer is no. No, Watchtower is not investing in defense technology. Watchtower is receiving funds from a trust fund set up by a lady who died over 70 years ago, that's being managed by the Comerica Bank, which is, on behalf of this trust fund, investing a percentage of the fund in defense technologies. So that's how we answer that question. Those are the facts. Do with them as you will, but hopefully I've applied at least some perspective to that whole issue. and there will be more perspective thrown on this as this video proceeds, which it must, with the second question: what can we learn from Watchtower's tax returns? Maybe you didn't know that Watchtower has tax returns, because Jehovah's Witnesses are, after all, a religion, and they are therefore tax exempt. Why would you complete a tax return if you are a tax exempt religion? Well, it turns out that if you are a religion in America, you do indeed need to fill out a tax return if you are involved in receiving money from investments and other revenue streams that are unrelated to your religious activity. And so what we're looking at now is a 990T form for the Watchtower Bible and Tract Society of Pennsylvania. This is the 2017 tax return, and I've been looking at the tax returns going as far back as 2012. So I've actually examined 6 years worth of tax returns, but these aren't documents that will tell us how much money Watchtower is receiving in terms of donations from all around the world. They won't give us that depth of information. All these tax returns, as far as I can tell, really tell us is to what extent the main organisation or the main legal entity behind Jehovah's Witnesses, which is the Pennsylvania Corporation, to what extent they are involved in investment. And we do learn quite a bit from looking at these tax returns. Now, if you like, you can join me as we go through 6 years of Watchtower tax returns. Having said that, I've realised how incredibly tedious that sounds. I will, I promise, try to make it at least remotely interesting. Let's have a look at the earliest of those tax returns from 2012, and you can see there that at least one of these streams of investment has produced a negative. So you have there the TPF 2A, which has returned minus $181,860. So straight away we're learning that although there are investments that Watchtower is making, they're not all necessarily returning a profit for Watchtower, which is interesting. So we can see here that from 2012, the organisation made over $890,000 in its investments, but again, at least one of its investments there produced a negative. We then move on to 2013, and then 2 of the investment partnerships have yielded a negative. Again, you have the TPF, which I'm going to tell you now is the Tenaska Power Fund. That's what TPF stands for, and this is Fund 2A. And I'm going to tell you now that for each of the years from 2012 through to 2017, the Tenaska Power Fund returns a negative for Watchtower. So they are costing Watchtower money. I will come to that again, though. In this particular year that we're looking at of 2013, there's also a negative return from the Cushing MLP Opportunity Fund, which the limited research I've been able to do on these funds, the Cushing MLT Opportunity Fund is a hedge fund, as I understand it. So do with that information as you will. In 2014, you again have a negative there at the bottom from the Tenaska Power Fund, but you also have a massive positive, a massive gain from the Milestone Real Estate Investors 2, and that gave Watchtower in that year alone over $2.5 million return. So that was quite a nice investment that worked out for them there, but we're going to view that in a bit